What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Panthers Advice. Today, we're going to talk about what this man, Luke Kuechly, just said about Bryce Young and the new coaching staff. We're not going to waste any time, man. Let's get right into it.
I feel like we could do 20 more minutes. We got to speed through a couple other ones. I want to ask you about your quarterback there. I say you're up in the booth now, calling the games. You got a unique vantage point. Yeah. Dave Canales is new head coach, and you're bringing him in. Offensive mind, obviously. You got a quarterback heading into year number 2. A lot of the postmortem on Bryce's rookie year was he had too many voices in his head.
All right, guys, this is where things get interesting because Hayden Hurst was one of those people. In fact, Hayden Hurst said this. In my opinion, I think there were just too many opinions, Hurst said, kind of looking for the right answer from everybody, too much input, which sucks for Bryce. He had a lot of people in his ear telling him one thing. Now, that part by itself is interesting, but take a look 2 paragraphs down right here. Part of the reason Reich and McCown were fired after week 12 was to lessen the voices in Young's ear. I got to read that again. Part of the reason Frank Reich and Josh McCown were fired after week 12 was to lessen the voices in Young's ear. Who else would be talking to Bryce? Please let me know. Frank is the head coach and play caller. Josh McCown is the quarterback coach. I mean, I guess you could say Thomas Brown, and no disrespect to Thomas Brown. I like him, but up until 2021, he was a running backs coach. Now, yes, he was the offensive coordinator, but 2012, running backs coach. 2014, new job, running backs coach. 2015, new job, running backs coach. 2015 with Miami, running backs coach. South Carolina, running backs coach. 2020, he went to the Rams, running backs coach. Now, he would move up in 2021 and become assistant head coach, right? But for the most part, he was a running backs coach except for the last couple of years. So even at those 3, who else is telling Bryce what to do? Please tell me. I mean, this right here shows you that there was dysfunction in the locker room. The reason Reich and McCown were fired were to lessen the voices. Who else should be in Bryce's ear? I don't even like Frank. Not a big fan of McCown working with Bryce because they're 2 different quarterbacks, but this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Those should be the only 2 people in Bryce's ear. And I'm not even a fan of them, but what is going on in Carolina, man? Let's get back into the clip. Woo.
I think there's stuff that comes out. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. But what I do know about Bryce and what I do know about Carolina is that we've got a common goal now. Dan came in at the same time. Obviously, we hired him as the GM. We hired Dave Canales at the same time. They spent a lot of time in Seattle together. There's a vision that these guys believe in. There's a vision that what they want to do. And Bryce has a guy that's over the past.
Before he starts talking about Bryce, let's look at some of the draft picks that Dan and Dave had in Seattle, right? Take a look at this. So as we take a look at some of Dan and Dave's work, right here in 2012, Bruce Irvin, Bobby Wagner, and Russell Wilson. That is one draft class right there. Fast forward a few years later, you got Frank Clark and Tyler Lockett. Whew, what a team right there. Just in a few years, you got Frank Clark, Bruce Irvin, Bobby Wagner, Russell Wilson, and Tyler Lockett. Just from drafting, man. Somebody in Seattle knew what they were doing, and hopefully Dan and Dave brought the recipe. Let's keep this thing going.
Couple years, whether it's Gino, whether it's been Russ, whether it was Baker last year in Tampa, that he's gotten the most out of these guys. So we're excited about that. Obviously last year wasn't the year that Bryce won it, but there's a couple things that I think Bryce did a fantastic job of. I think his toughness really showed this year. He got hit a lot. He got sacked a lot. He was on the ground a lot.
For those of you who don't believe Luke, take a look right here. Bryce Young, 92.95% of all snaps played. 92.95%. The only snaps he didn't play was against Seattle when he was out. I think Andy Dalton came in at least once, maybe twice to run the ball early in the season. Other than that, Bryce Young played almost every snap this season. And need I remind you, right? The Panthers allowed the 2nd most sacks this season. The 2nd most. That's saying something, guys. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. Didn't complain. Came back week after week and did his thing. Let's keep this thing going.
He got up. He ran off the field. Came back the next series. It didn't affect him. And then he showed up the next week as well. So you got to believe he wasn't feeling great going in the games. He was beat up. But guess what? He went out there. He didn't complain. He took the heat. He answered questions with the media. The guy can process. He's super accurate. He's super athletic. Man, we got to get better everywhere. And everyone keeps pointing at Bryce and saying, hey, Bryce has got to be better. we got to be better. We've got to be better all over the place. And I'm excited for this season. I think a good get for us is Yajiro Evero. Stud. I'm excited that he's back. The defensive guys are, and now we just got to go score some points on offense. Man, I'm excited. I'm an optimist. I love the Carolina Panthers. I think every year we're going to win a million games, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. But I know some of you guys thought, all right, this season was partially on Bryce Young. Boy, do I have numbers for you. Do I have numbers for you? Let's take a look. What are we looking at first, you're asking? Well, I'll answer that right here. We're looking at sacks. Now, this isn't sacks allowed because the Panthers, they allowed way more than 27 sacks. This was total sacks for the defense. 27, we were last. We were last in total sacks. This is not good. This just isn't good, guys. This is not good at all. We were last in total sacks with Derek Brown and Brian Burns. I mean, guys, there's no excuse for that. There's really not. 27? But oh wait, it gets better. Let's check out the next stat I'm going to show you guys. The next stat we're going to look at is interceptions. Total interceptions. How many interceptions did the defense get you? We're tied for third with 8. Not third greatest, third lowest. So you see that the defense needs work too. It's not just on Bryce, because this right here is just abysmal. We had the least amount of sacks in the league. The least amount of sacks in the league with 2 powerhouse names in Derek Brown and Brian Burns. Then you fast forward to interceptions. We're tied for the third worst. Now you see the Chiefs up here, but the Chiefs I think are top 5 in sacks. We're neither. We're not getting pressure. We're not picking it off. What are we doing? Because if you look right here at this number, rushing touchdowns allowed, Panthers lead the league. So as you can see, it's not just Bryce. It's everybody. I'm not saying that as the defense would have got more sacks, interceptions, that the season would have been that much different because the offense took a while to figure out, right? But as you can see, the Panthers need a lot of help in the draft. It's not just receivers. It's not just O-line. They need help everywhere. I mean, you put Brian Burns and Derek Brown on any other team, I guarantee you those sacks go up a lot. We have both. And yet we got the least amount of sacks in the league. That's not good. I mean, that's just awful, right? And then you look at interceptions. I didn't expect a big number here, but to be tied for the third worst and have the worst amount of sacks in League 2, I mean, that just shows you that there's a lot of work to go around, right? Everybody needs help. We'll see how they draft, but the thing to watch is who do they pick up in free agency? Do they trade for anybody? Because the Panthers need help now. They need help now and in a lot of places. That's going to wrap it up. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Panthers Advice is out.